We have with us Mr. Pratik Agarwal, the CEO of Sterlite. Pratik, thank you for joining us on Bloomberg Quint. You are in a very interesting sector, the transmission sector, and we yesterday saw a big deal happening in this transmission sector. Tell us, how is this sector doing financially and in terms of capex?
Sure. Thank you, Sanjeev. Let me take you back to the power sector to begin with, right? We're living in a country which has 300 gigawatts of installed capacity, and we only had 150 gigawatts of peak load met last year. Why is there such a big gap? One of the biggest reasons is lack of power transmission. Right? India has privatized generation for almost 20 years now, but transmission is privatized only 3 or 4 years ago. So there's a long catching up to be done. Every year, India needs $10 billion investment in power transmission between the center and the states combined. And that is an incredibly large capex. The government has a phenomenal move by opening up transmission for private players. There has been a reduction in tariffs, there's been a reduction in delivery times of projects, and we think that this is a sector that will see a lot of investment and will also attract a lot of foreign capital. With regards to consolidation, like what we saw today, I think it's a fantastic move. Every company should remain focused on what their core business is, and they should divest assets. And like in most countries, 4 or 5 players, large players, control power transmission, and that is the way I think it will be in India as well.
Okay, you were the largest player in the market till the transaction happened, and you became the second largest after the transaction. What is the kind of capex that you have for your company?
So at the moment, our projects under management are just about $2 to $2.5 billion currently. We expect that we'll add another $4 to $5 billion of projects in the next 5 years. So that's the kind of capex, anywhere from $5 to maybe $7 billion is the kind of capex that we ourselves are planning to do just to keep our current market share. We think that there will be a more consolidation in industry, maybe our market share will go up. But India needs at least 3 or 4 companies like us to build the entire transmission rollout that is needed in the country.
Between public sector and private sector, what is the kind of market share you guys have? Because it's Power Grid is the biggest transmission, right? To catch up with them, it's hugely impossible in the near term or medium term. So, but for private sector, what kind of opportunities are there in this market?
So the goal here is not to catch up. The goal here is not to play a volume game. The goal is to solve the country's biggest problems with regards to moving energy from A to B. And the biggest problem of moving energy from A to B is that generation assets come up, cities are growing, but the links that connect the generation to the cities are taking years and years. Sterlite takes great pride in saying that we finished projects ahead of time, faster than anyone else in this country, faster than the government players, faster than other private players. Recently, we finished a project 12 months ahead of schedule to deliver power to the region of Jammu. I think that is the need of the hour, and we will excel and we'll be the leaders in the industry on that note.
With huge capex which you have in Sterlite Power, $2.5 billion you've completed, and you expect another $4 to $5 billion in the next 5 years. There is a capital requirement as well, right? Since you are a private company and your financial is not known, can you give us a sense of what kind of top line you have and what kind of cash flows you have?
Sure. So you talked about capital requirement. I think that's a great question. Let me talk about that, right? Let's go back to the last 15 years in India. All infrastructure has been financed by private promoter capital on the equity side and bank debt on the debt side. I think that's a non-starter. I think that's completely about to change. We think finally India is ready for foreign institutional capital who have hundreds of billions of dollars lying in negative yield around the world. In fact, 13 trillion is what I heard today, is the amount of money lying in negative yield. I think all that money can come to India to finance infrastructure through things like the InvIT route and the REIT route that the government has announced in April this year. And I think that this is going to revolutionize the way Indian infrastructure is financed. I think the $600 billion of investment India needs, a large chunk will come through global financial institutions, through tax-efficient instruments like REITs and InvITs.
But what about capital requirement for Sterlite Power?
So absolutely. I mean, we have gone public in saying that we are pursuing the InvIT transaction. We have made an application to SEBI. It's under consideration. We are waiting for them to come back. We'll be waiting for the right window in the market to hit the market. Of course, we have to file our document first. But we are very clear that completed assets attract global capital. So we will look at creating assets in record time and then selling those assets into a trust structure so that we can recycle our capital and put that back into creation of new assets.
So you are in market to raise around $500 million through InvITs. How many assets would be part of it? What kind of, can you give us a flavor of the assets which will be part of it?
So I can't confirm the number. I can say that we'll be the InvITs required to put operational projects. We will be putting 100% operating transmission assets. All the details will come out when we file the document, so I can't speak too much about that. But the InvITs are meant for operating assets, and I cannot think of a better asset class than power transmission, because power transmission has long 35-year annuity income. No other sector in India today offers 35-year annuity income, where an investor knows that even 35 years from now, what return he's going to get on his investment. And that is what the world needs right now. And hence, I think this is the best asset class for InvITs.
So what is the kind of timeline you have for your InvITs to file with SEBI and list on the exchanges?
We are certainly aiming to launch in this financial year. I think the exact details will depend on the market conditions. We're certainly aiming for that, and I think with the current rate cut and with the way the global financial situation, I think this is the best time for not just us but all Indian infrastructure companies and real estate companies to hit the market.
Prateek, thank you very much for joining us on Bloomberg.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.